Dave Ellis here at Bristol Bears Rugby Club in England. Just the boys are running through some simple hand-eye reaction drills as we're leading up to their peripheral vision based on the back of some work we've already done on our catch pass. So we're going to start off with a simple one, boys, no colours. No colours initially. We're just going to go through the skills first up. Then we'll go into eye patch. Then we'll go into colours. We'll finish on the glasses, okay? So be confident to have a crack. Bruiser and I will use a fourth ball in this one. We'll introduce it eventually. And that'll be just the one over the top to distract you, Stevie. Okay, off you go. We have a pretty skilled group of players that we're going to be using today. Some international players from both New Zealand and Australia, as well as some of the local boys. We're going to be covering an area of catch pass, focusing on the cognitive skills required. So we're looking at enhancing peripheral vision and focusing on the smaller details of the actual catch itself. In this first activity, it's part of a progression that I've always used, and we're looking at players being able to distribute the ball quickly across their body in one motion, while also throwing a deliberate pullback pass, which is also a part of the game, which is quite commonly used these days. Okay, Sterzo eye patch. Okay, so dominant eye. So we're putting the eye patch over what we've identified as Sterzo's dominant eye, so to try and strengthen his weaker eye. Give him feedback, boys. You'll see throughout the session, it will gradually make this harder and harder. And this is based on the level of the player that you're dealing with. With all progressions, you must never completely break your players. You want to just stretch them and take them to the limits of their capabilities. I think for the average coach to implement this in their lesser programs, I guess, it's about understanding their players. So you want to be able to keep the activity fun and enjoyable and yet relevant. So if you're looking at peripheral vision, then there's lots of ways you can train it. So you want to keep a ball involved. We want to make sure that we're getting results from it as well. Pass quality can't drop off, and we have to make the players aware that we're working them towards a way that's bettering them as players, and it's not just a little party gimmick. Okay, so Bruce and I will just be here. Okay, cool. As we progress on this activity, now we're going to introduce some coloured cards, and they'll be flashed in front of the main player who's being tested here, in which we'll be testing his peripheral vision and making sure that he can still catch and pass effectively whilst catching images off to the sides. Pass accuracy. It's okay, mate. Get back in your rhythm. Good talk, boys. Nice, mate. And cut. Good stuff, mate. Nice work, big fella. Okay, we'll just modify this one slightly different, and I've ambushed you here. This is one I haven't done before. If I hold up the red, you just got to do that before you pass. Okay, and if Bruiser holds up a green, you've got to use your left leg. So red, right, green, left. Off we go, please. We'll also change the values of the cards that are being flashed in front of the player. For example, a red card might be to lift their right foot as they pass. So, and we use that in this activity as well. Yeah, you got it eventually. That's okay, mate. That's what we want. Good boy, Tiff. Good boy. Good boy. Anytime you want to go over the right. That's okay, mate. Notice how it's a little bit more difficult, boys, because we're starting to not only see a colour, but we also have an action associated with it, so it puts us under a little bit more pressure. Okay, we'll swap you out, Moz. Stevie's just reminded me we'll have some questions. Now it's just identify the colours, okay? Progress this drill even further by getting some of our players in the background to ask a few questions. Some of them can be quite comical at times.
About your middle name, yeah? No, that's too long.
The reason we do activities like this is to really push the limits of our players' capabilities. Not only their visual side of it, but it's also taking in information that's being screamed at them in a match. It might be from fellow players or it could be from the referee. It's understanding to filter all those sort of things through their body, but still be able to execute their skills at a high level. So any sort of stimuli we can use to challenge them or replicate elements of the game, then we'll use that in these activities. All good? Okay. We'll activate the lights. So it's the same deal. You've got 3 colours coming at you, boys. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and go. This session we've used the reaction lights. As you can see, are magnetic, and we've just stuck them to the fence behind the players group and within vision of the main player who we're targeting. They're placed in such positions that they're testing his peripheral vision as he's catching and passing. The beauty about being able to use the lights is it allows me to watch the activity itself and keep the player involved in his technique, while the lights are automatically controlled through an app used on an iPad or iPhone.
Good boy, Bats. Great work, Bats. Good work.
I've positioned these reacting lights in such a way that one would be coming from where the ball is coming from, which I would call that would be a threat to a player, and another one would be flashing to what I would call an opportunity for a player. So we're getting our players to use their peripheral vision while they have another light in front of them which indicates they're probably their most imminent threat. So it's getting them to identify threats and opportunities whilst passing left and right.
Good boy.
Good boy. Since it's only the second time the players have used this particular apparatus, they're quite excited about it. They like something different. They've done fairly well so far. It would be something that I would look to enhance and possibly reduce the reaction time of the lights flashing to make it build more pressure. The lights can be controlled in numerous ways. The app is wonderful. It allows us to react to the lights as a reaction activity, so how I've used it here. They can be turned on and off through contact. So we can add some activities there where it might be a ball hitting it or a player pushing his hand over it, which will then trigger another light. All this is controlled from the app. It's quite creative in whichever way you want to use it. Some clubs in the past have used them for kicking activities, passing activities, line-out activities. There's no end to how these can be used in the rugby sense, particularly in my role as a skills coach. Okay, so that's the reacting lights. We'll have the strobe glasses coming up next, boys. Okay, boys, let's do one without the glasses, please. So first one, so let's making sure that we're accurate with what we feed in, because it's going to be vital. Remember, we talked first week about how important the catch is, so we need to make sure he has a fair chance of getting a good catch in. Okay, boys, moderate pace. Yep. Okay, that's good, Hawko. Now the fun starts. Okay, we start with the glasses at level 3. We probably won't progress past level 3 today, boys. Okay, remember it's an 8-level program. Now, these are the synaptic strobe glasses. These are basically a strobe glasses that reduces the vision in a strobe fashion for the player. So when something is traveling towards them, their vision is obscured momentarily. So it's great for tracking. And it also is a wonderful way to remind our players to get their hands up and prepared to catch a ball. Remember your pass, still quality, Hawko, eh? Pass quality. They love the challenge. I think it's the visual challenge is something different. It's a particularly good activity you use with injured players, which is the majority of the players we've used today. So when you catch a ball, get it out of your hands quickly still though, Hawko, eh? Your pass doesn't change. The reason behind a lot of these cognitive activities is to enhance our vision and our decision making, but also our reaction time. So we can now play the game at a higher tempo and at a closer to the tackle line and have better reactions while under full pressure. Okay, well done, Hawks. That was, you passed the test. That was the one with the one eye. Okay, so this is now with both eyes flashing. First one had one eye closed, one eye flashing. Now we're on level 3 with both eyes flashing. Should be easier. Trying to initiate pressure in a training environment is very difficult to do at times, and it can be quite risky to the players. This is a way where we can mentally stress the players and put them under some sort of pressure without actually being purely physical. Physical obviously would be the next advancement from this. Comms up. Good save, Moz. He's in there. In his zone now, Moz. Okay. Stay there, Moz, because we'll finish with you. We'll go ultra fast, okay? Glasses are off. I just want the pace of the ball to go quicker now, okay? There you go, Luke. Finish with our cognitive session, which is all part of a bigger picture when it comes to our catch-pass development, which has been the 6-week course that I've been doing here at the Bristol Bears. The importance of the cognitive session for me is another way that takes the catch-pass mechanics to a different level. We need to always bring some sort of pressure into the environment, and for me, the cognitive and the reacting side of it is just a wonderful addition and builds more tools in the toolbox of our rugby players. There are many ways to do this. I've been blessed here at Bristol Bears to have the equipment available to me, like the lights and the glasses, for example. But in your own environment, you may have to use things like coloured cards or coloured cones at a lesser level. If the availability comes that you can get the lights and the glasses, wonderful, because to me that really can enhance it even further. But when we're doing our catch pass session, this is just a part of it. We need to make sure we have the mechanics right at the beginning. We need to then bring in this cognitive session, and from there we move into the more physical side of the game. We've built our players under more physical pressure. So we've added the mental pressure and the physical pressure, still focusing the entire time on being 100% accurate with our skill execution.